This really happened. On November 24th, 1971, an ordinary-looking man walked into Portland International Airport and purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle. His name on the ticket was Don Cooper. He wore a business suit, a white shirt, a black tie. Nothing about him seemed unusual. He boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305 and took a seat near the back of the plane. It should have been a normal 30-minute flight. Instead, it became one of the greatest mysteries in American history. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant. At first, she ignored it. Then Cooper calmly leaned forward and said something that changed everything. "Miss, you'd better read that note. I have a bomb." Inside the note were demands. $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. When the flight attendant sat beside him, Cooper opened his briefcase. Inside appeared to be red cylinders connected by wires. Whether it was a real bomb remains unknown, but nobody wanted to take the chance. The pilots informed authorities. The FBI was contacted. The plane remained in the air while officials gathered the ransom money. Meanwhile, Cooper sat calmly in his seat. He ordered a drink. He spoke politely. He never raised his voice. He never appeared nervous. Passengers around him had no idea what was happening. Hours later, the aircraft landed in Seattle. Authorities delivered the money. They delivered the parachutes. The passengers were released. Most of them never even realized they had been part of a hijacking. But Cooper wasn't finished. After receiving everything he requested, he ordered the pilots back into the air. His instructions were strange. Fly south. Keep the aircraft low. Keep it slow. Leave the rear staircase accessible. As darkness covered the Pacific Northwest, the plane climbed back into the sky. Rain fell outside. Strong winds battered the aircraft. The crew remained in the cockpit while Cooper sat alone in the rear cabin. Then something happened. A warning light appeared. The rear staircase had been opened. A sudden change in pressure shook the plane. The crew knew only one thing. Cooper was no longer inside. Somewhere over forests, mountains, and rivers, he had jumped into the darkness. No one saw him leave. No one knew exactly where he landed. No one knew if he survived. The moment the aircraft landed, the FBI launched one of the largest investigations in its history. Agents searched vast areas of wilderness. Helicopters scanned forests. Teams walked through mountains. Nothing, no body, no parachute, no briefcase, no trace of Cooper. The case dominated headlines. America became obsessed. Who was this man? How had he planned everything so carefully? And where had he gone? The FBI interviewed hundreds of people. Then thousands. More than 800 suspects would eventually be investigated. Some were criminals. Some were former military personnel. Some were professional skydivers. None could be proven to be Cooper. As years passed, the mystery only grew. Many experts believed Cooper died during the jump. The conditions were terrible. It was night. Heavy rain was falling. The terrain below was dangerous wilderness. He wasn't wearing proper equipment. Some investigators argued that no experienced skydiver would have attempted such a jump, but others disagreed. They believed Cooper knew exactly what he was doing. They believed he had carefully planned the entire operation. And if that was true, perhaps he survived. The mystery took another turn in 1980. A young boy was digging near the Columbia River when he made an unexpected discovery. Buried beneath the sand was a portion of the ransom money. The serial numbers matched the bills given to Cooper. The discovery shocked investigators, but instead of solving the case, it created even more questions. How did the money get there? Why was only part of it found? Where was the rest? Nobody could explain it. The years turned into decades. The legend of D.B. Cooper continued to grow. Books were written. Documentaries were produced. Theories appeared everywhere. Some claimed Cooper escaped and lived a quiet life. Others believed he died the night he jumped. Some thought he was a former military paratrooper. Others believed he was a criminal mastermind. The truth remained hidden. In 2016, the FBI officially suspended active efforts to solve the case. The mystery had consumed countless hours and resources. Yet no definitive answer had ever been found. More than 50 years later, nobody knows who D.B. Cooper really was. Nobody knows whether he survived. Nobody knows where the money went. And nobody knows what happened after he disappeared into the darkness. A man boarded a plane, collected $200,000, jumped into the night, and vanished, leaving behind one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in FBI history. But the mystery did not end there. In fact, it was only beginning. Over the years, investigators developed countless theories about the identity of D.B. Cooper. One of the most famous suspects was Richard McCoy. Only a few months after the Cooper hijacking, McCoy carried out a nearly identical crime. He hijacked a commercial aircraft and escaped using a parachute. Many people believe the cases were connected, but the FBI eventually ruled him out. The evidence simply didn't match. Another suspect was Kenneth Christensen, a former military paratrooper who worked for an airline. He had knowledge of aircraft and aviation procedures. Some investigators considered him a strong possibility, yet no definitive evidence was ever discovered. Over the decades, dozens of names emerged. Each suspect seemed convincing at first. Each theory generated headlines, and each one eventually fell apart. Could Cooper have survived? Many experts believed the answer was no. The conditions were terrible. It was dark. Rain was falling. The terrain below was rugged wilderness. A single mistake could have been fatal. Cooper jumped into conditions no rational skydiver would choose. They believe he landed in remote wilderness and died shortly afterward. Yet another group of investigators strongly disagreed. To them, Cooper did not look like a desperate criminal. He looked like someone following a plan, a man who knew exactly what he was doing. Some even believe Cooper had selected the jump zone in advance. If true, it would explain why no trace of him was ever found. Then there was the money. In 1980, thousands of dollars from the ransom were found buried near the Columbia River. But the rest was missing. If Cooper died, where was the rest? If Cooper survived, why was only a small portion found? No explanation fully satisfied investigators. As technology improved, fingerprints were analyzed. DNA was tested. Witness statements were reviewed. Yet every lead reached a dead end. The Cooper mystery became something larger than a criminal investigation. It became a legend. A story passed from one generation to another. More than 50 years have passed since a man boarded Flight 305. His face was seen. His voice was heard. His demands were recorded. Yet his true identity remains unknown. Somewhere in the darkness over the Pacific Northwest, D.B. Cooper disappeared. Despite decades of investigation, nobody has ever been able to answer the simplest question. Who was D.B. Cooper, and what happened after he jumped?